Hello again, everyone. I have a message response here from a contribution of the video I did off of GoFundMe. Um, and this was the video I did how narcissists live in dog years. Hi there. Thank you so much for doing the video with my question. It did help, but I have to tell you that it was highly uncomfortable for me to listen to. It took me most of the night to get over it. Perhaps it was the attention being paid to me, or maybe it's because I felt I did a bad job of trying to synthesize a lifetime into a few little stories. You did fine. There is no problem with your stories whatsoever. I cringed at myself as you read, because I thought it seemed so childish to me, like I was making a mountain out of a molehill, which is what I grew up hearing. Right. That's the narcissistic abuse kicking in, that you're making too much out of it, even though you're writing it and this actually happened to you. You weren't. It was a horrible story. It's a horrible, horrible story, what you went through. And you shouldn't be made to feel guilty about it. You really shouldn't. You have nothing to be ashamed of. My mother bought me a book once on BPD, borderline personality disorder, telling me I needed help. Oh, so that tells me your mother knows exactly what she has and she doesn't care. And here we go. Here's an example. Here's a perfect example. If you go back and you look at that video and see her original story, how narcissists live in dog years, this is a perfect example of projection onto how the narcissist projects onto their victim. And the fact of the matter is, the fact that she gave her a book about borderline personality disorder goes to show you how deliberate the narcissist's actions are. So when people say, does the narcissist know what they're doing? And people say, no, they don't. It's unconscious. It's this. It isn't. Because this is clearly a case of projection. This is clearly a case of the narcissistic abuser projecting their abuse back on their victim. I've heard it all my life. You're such an angry person with so much hate inside you. You're such an ungrateful little bitch. I feel sorry for your daughter having a mother like you. Take your negative face out of my sight. She always took the other side in any dispute, telling me I likely was in the wrong. Sound familiar? We've all heard those things. We've all heard them. I was never stood up for as a kid, teen, or young adult. I know I've heard you say this was an issue for you and with your family as well. Absolutely. Look at the situation I'm in now. You know, my parents took my ex-wife's side in the divorce, which I knew they were going to do. They always take the other person's side, no matter what. That's part of the narcissistic disease that they have. It's difficult to describe to people just how painful and damaging that is unless they've been through it, because people can't imagine being turned on by their own family. People who come from normal families can't ever imagine, because it would never happen in their family, that their family would turn against them. That's why you can't explain it to them, because they have no basis of reality for it. Maybe one day you could do a video on the fear those of us with children have, that we are acting like our parents did. I really struggle with this. I have a terrible fear that I've done damage to my daughter, being that I know when she was little, I was impatient with her, neediness at times. I was not allowed to have needs whatsoever. Once I noticed I was repeating that with my own daughter, I did the best to correct my parenting style. Although a couple of years ago, I said it. I said, you're being an ungrateful bitch. I wish I could undo that moment. I will beat myself up forever on that one. Well, you're a shining example of that fear. And again, that fear of, well, it's not even the fear, it's the knowledge that you know what happened to you is wrong. And that you know treating your child like that is wrong. The fact that you're here sending me messages, researching narcissism, and trying to correct it, you know, is your struggle. I mean, it is a part of your recovery, and it goes to show that you're not your mother. We all get impatient with our children at times. Every parent snaps on their kid and says something they wish they didn't say to them. That's part of normal parenting. You say it once, you say it once, you say it twice, okay, over the course of their life, that's going to happen. You're going to have fights with your children. What you're talking about and what I'm talking about and what everybody on this channel is talking about, hearing it every single day, multiple times a day, in multiple ways, it doesn't matter, over and over and over again. And when you said it to your daughter, you got no pleasure out of it. When your mother says those things to you, and my parents abused me, and whoever's watching this abuse them, their abusers enjoyed it. They enjoyed saying it to them because they knew it hurt, because it was deliberate, and they were doing it to fulfill their own narcissistic supply. That's the difference between us and them. We know it's wrong. Just because you have a fight with your child and you might snap out and say something bad every once in a while, okay? Every once in a very long while. As you said, this happens one, two, three times over the course of their life. They get over it. That's part of normal parenting. That's part of normal family. Everybody's going to have fights and say things. That's not what you're comparing normal parenting fights to a pattern of narcissistic abuse, which was perpetrated on you by your mother and your stepfather. That's the difference. And the narcissist will wait for those moments where you do snap and then try to push the whole scope of narcissism and abuse on you. You say, you see, you're just angry. You're always angry. You're always miserable. Get your fuck face ass right. Get your fuck face out of here. It's all the same insults and tactics. They're waiting for you to snap so they can call you on it. They can't wait. But if they were to be called on their bullshit, watch the explosion. That's the difference between us and them. I've talked to my daughter about this and she says I worry too much. That made me feel good, as I think she would have told me if it hurt her. The door was wide open and I was talking with my husband, and he assures me that although I'm not perfect, I've done well. I certainly never once let my kid feel that I didn't have her back. I think I've been consistent in my words and actions, and I always made it clear that my daughter was my number one priority over all else. Once she left the nest, it was the most difficult thing in the world for me to step back and let her go, but I knew I had to. I didn't raise her to ultimately go on forever as my daughter. I raised her to be her own strong young woman. One last thing. I wanted to tell you that I did have a good relationship with my biological father for many years. In my letter, I outlined his worst moments, and he was truly not a good dad back then at all. Over the years, though, I realized when he was physically abusive, he was young, he made mistakes, and let's not forget he was living with my mother, which would drive anyone insane. Exactly. A lot of people change when they get away from their abusers, that they're lashing out at the wrong people because they're frustrated in the situations they're in. So I'm glad you actually had a good relationship with your dad, ultimately. However, he, like the rest of us non-narcs, changed and grew as he aged and was thoughtful, kind, gentle, generous person for most of his life. He died in 2008. I miss him very, very much. All the best. Oh, wait, one more thing. You mentioned on your Addressing My Haters vid that people are coming out of the woodwork to accuse you of taking advantage of vulnerable people and harshing on you for taking donations. Fuck them. Thank you. You have every right to do what you're doing, and it's completely fair, worth it, and justified. As far as I'm concerned, a new way of doing business is dawning, and a new way for people to seek each other out, take care of their body's mind, and look for info and connect with each other is just beginning as well. You are on the forefront of this, the first wave, really. All pioneers experience backlash, and innovators get the beat down by people who are stuck in the old paradigm. Again, I say fuck them. If they don't like it, they don't have to. Peace. Well, thank you. That's exactly how I look at this channel. Thank you for your kind words. But you're not your mother. okay? Everybody's going to have fights with their children. The difference is the narcissist is waiting there to call you out on it, to push their abuse on you, to make it look like you're the problem. That's normal. 1 or 2 fights is a big deal. We're talking about a perpetual pattern of abuse that was put on us. And the reason why you're so paranoid about being them, okay, is because of the abuse you suffered. And because they're waiting for the opportunity to jump on you and project their narcissistic bullshit on you. Look how your father changed when he got away. He became a kind, generous guy once he got away, okay? His mistake probably was not taking custody or not trying to get custody, but he probably would have had a hard time getting it. You know, from the first video I did in your first message, you know, you had it pretty bad as a child. So it's perfectly logical to think that you would have these confidence issues, but you are so in tune, and a lot of us are, we are so in tune with our own children not to act that way that we forget to be human. Don't forget to be human and allow yourself to be human and allow yourself to make normal parenting mistakes. But narcissistic abuse makes us so sensitive to that we can't even see a normal parenting mistake or a normal fight for what it is normal. Everything then generates back to that original abuse, and am I just doing what my abusers did to me? And that's not the case at all. So thank you for your follow-up message. Thank you for your donation. I really appreciate it. It's a very good question you asked, and very good follow-through. So I appreciate it very much. And thank you to everybody who's watching and has supported my channel so far. If you do enjoy this channel, please consider making a donation or contribution to the GoFundMe link in the description box. And remember, you don't have to make a contribution, but if you do make one of any size and you want your story made into a video, you go right to the top of the list, because I do have many, many, many of these to still go through. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all again shortly. Bye.